be more than human. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we're going to talk about my journey into Malazan or Malazan. Now before we get this started, from the thumbnail and the title, I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression here. I'm not going to be like, I don't mean to, or I'm not going to try and like sit here and just bash Malazan. You guys can't get mad at me. I'm wearing a Lilo and Stitch shirt. I think there's some kind of rule, kind of like you can't hit a guy with glasses. So let's just take this journey together. I feel like with Malazan, there's this I don't know, like you can't. I almost feel like you're not allowed to say anything negative about Malazan. I've watched a bunch of like reviews, and it seems like the only person that really had anything remotely negative to say about it, well, I guess there's two people. Alan, though Alan likes it, and I feel like I'm kind of closer to Alan than the next person I'm going to say. Alan, he would do the reviews, and the way I normally would do it is I would read a book and then go and listen to Alan's review on it, because he would tell you the things he liked, he would tell you the things that he thought were bad, and then the other person, and I feel like I'm kind of in his boat too, because I don't think he said he's like completely not ever coming back to it, but Library of a Viking, has kind of stated like he just couldn't get into it. And also, I'm not going to lay it completely at the feet of Steven Erickson and Malazan. I don't want to be like it's me, not you. But when I first started the journey, let's take a trip way back. I don't know if it was a year and a half or 2 years ago, but when I first discovered Philip Chase, and his channel, and then with a Critical Dragon, and they stated how it's like it was one of their favorite series, or his favorite series of all time, and I started to see kind of other people, talk really highly about it. And at the time, I was on my journey through the Dark Tower. And I thought to myself, well, this is such a great book. No one has anything bad to say about it. It's revolutionary. It's not like anything you've ever read before. I was like, cool. So let me get my hand at it. The only, in hindsight, probably not the best idea to read The Dark Tower, which, the books get very, very long with The Dark Tower, and then all of Malazan are like they're all 800,000 page books or more. And the way I read them is I was going back to back to back to back to back. So very quick succession, I read 3 Malazan books, and I think I was finishing, so I had Wolves of the Kala, which is a long book, and then Song of Susanna, which is not very long, and then I went right into The Dark Tower. So The Dark Tower, which is like 900 pages, and then those 3 Malazan books were like right next to each other. So in hindsight, that might be my fault for burning myself out. Maybe I burned myself out a little bit, having basically three, you know, 900 page or four 900-page books all next to each other. Um, but again, I would say, I if you've seen me on any lives or watched my channel at all, you will know that like it's really hard for me to say that any book really needs to be over 800 pages. Like I said, I've read a handful of really long books, and I feel like most of them didn't need to be as long. But if it's a great book, you know, maybe that's okay. I enjoyed most of the Dark Tower. Those are long books. And some others. So, is that the overall contributing factor? I don't know. But also, I know people are going to disagree with me. I know it. But this is where maybe I just need help here. If you've read Malazan and you loved it, maybe put some stuff in the comments that could like reassure me that maybe this isn't the case and maybe it changes. Or if you've got into some of Malazan, maybe you're as far as I am, maybe you bowed out before, and let me know if you feel the same way I do. Because I know I've heard people say, the character work is just the best. Like, those greatest characters of all time. Some of them are in Malazan. But through 3 books, which is over 2,500 pages, probably closer to 3,000, maybe closer to 3,000, I don't know. But definitely over 2,500. I really didn't get attached to any character. Like, I mean, Tool was probably the most, like, character that I really wanted to dive into and stuff. Crump was my favorite, but he's the comic relief. Like, he's supposed to be like the dandelion, from The Witcher, where he comes in and lightens things up a little bit so they don't get overly dark. He's not supposed to be the best character. But to me, he was the best character. I didn't really resonate or feel much for any of the characters. I mean, Animator Rake was a cool character. There were some cool characters. And like I said, and I actually reread these books again when Steve was beginning his journey through Malazan. I was there for the first few, the first couple discussions. So I went through them again, and my feelings didn't really change. So I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, do they pick up after the 3rd book? I mean, because I've heard a lot of people say in the 3rd book they cried and it was, they couldn't believe it. And I know the part. Maybe I'm a robot. I don't, but like I know the part that everyone says is supposed to be this heart-wrenching moment, and it was an emotional moment, I guess, but it didn't really connect with me. I didn't feel overly emotional about it. And the example I give, and maybe some people would disagree with me because some people, this is their favorite book of all time, and we're all allowed to have our favorites, right? A lot of people don't like the Dresden Files, and that's my favorite. And I read a lot of the Dresden Files, and then I've read them over and over again, and then I've started to get into more more fantasy, and I thought that would dim the Dresden Files. Maybe I was like, maybe I just haven't seen enough. But like that's only kept, reading all these other fantasy series has only kept Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files at the top. And there's a character in one of the early Dresden books, and this Dresden book is like a 400-page book. And there's a character that's a side character that I got more emotional on, and this is early Dresden, 400 pages, side character. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but the character's name is Shiro. And I felt more for him in 400 pages, and he's not in most of it, than I did for any character in the nearly 3,000 pages. The thing I think that Erickson does probably better than anybody in fantasy is the world building. I mean, if people are like, give me a reason to read Malazan, I would be like, do you love huge, expansive, detailed worlds that have layer upon layer upon layer on them? Malazan is for you. If you like amazing prose, Malazan is for you. I think those two things, Erickson is top of the food chain. World building and prose. I think he is, unbeatable. Maybe some people, and again, I'm nowhere near a fantasy expert. I'm, making my way through. Maybe somebody, I'm sure there's a lot of people. I've read other people who are probably as good prose-wise, but I haven't read anyone yet that matches his ability to build a world. I haven't got into Sanderson yet, so maybe you're all tell me, oh, Cosmere blows it out of the water or whatever. But really, those two areas, I have Erickson at the highest. And I know people, and I've heard people say that his character work is at the top, but I not for me. And I think it may be his style of writing that does that, because he likes to hop all over the place. And Alan would tell you, like in his things, he'll be like, all right, you're with these people for 250 pages and I don't like them at all. And then he'll be like, we're over with these people. I can't wait to get back with these people. And you're with these people for 300 pages and it's awesome. And then you're with these people for 200 plus pages and it's okay. And that's kind of how all three books have been. Now, the first book, I kind of just accepted it going in, that it was going to be that way. That I was told you it bounces around, and you get like 200 freaking characters or something in that first book. It's like a shotgun going off. You're going in all different directions. And I thought, okay, well, I understand that that's the way it is for this book, and you kind of really had to pay attention to what you're doing. And then I thought, well, he would. And then the second book, I thought was better than the first book. And I was like, okay, he's honing in on the characters he really wants to use and everything. And then in the third book, it's like, oh, we're going off again, but it's still that way. It's like jump, different. And I think maybe it's because we don't spend enough time consistently with certain people to make you like fall in love with them. Although, again, that's just me. I know other people will say he has some superb character work. But, I really think it is one of the best, because I can be objective, and I can understand that, yes, it's one of the best fantasy series of all time. But just through doing two reads of the first three, I mean, I had to step away because I was getting burnt out, and I don't know. Like, maybe should I give the fourth one a try? Is everything better? Does he hone in on his character work better in the fourth book and on? Because like I can understand, like recently I did Murderbot All Systems Red, and it's a novella. It's like 150 pages. I was not impressed with it. There was kernels of what I liked, but I know people just gave some people who gave up right after that. Well, then I read the next novella, and she expanded on those kernels, and I really like it, so I'm going to continue. So is there, I don't think you should have to read 4,000, 5,000 pages before something, should really grip you. So let me know, um, does he, you know, does he zone in on characters and allow you to get attached, or is every book this jumping around? Should I give it another try? Um, Again, this was not me. Hopefully you guys don't think this was just however long this video has been of me bashing Malazan, because again, I think it is one of the best um, book series of all time, one of maybe the greatest world ever, and some of the best prose that you'll ever see. So if those two things, if you're still with me in this book and you're just wondering about it, if those two are things that you really value highly, this definitely is for you. But let me know, am I alone? Am I out here on the island by myself, or have some of you felt the same way I felt and continued, or felt the same way I felt and stopped? If so, let me know, and remember, be more than human.